Hey folks, Peter here from Tin Man, coming to you from our brand new location at 27 Union Street here in Corner Brook. Can't wait to show you guys our new showroom, but for today we got a great video for you, so stay tuned. We're about to show you the top 5 mistakes that we see when people install their own wood stoves. Okay, so number 5, protrusion. So let's talk about protrusion for a second and what protrusion actually is. So protrusion is something that gets overlooked a lot by a lot of people when they're doing exterior chimneys. So on exterior chimneys, so this is a great display, a great little teaching tool that we use here in our showroom. And basically, this is from ICC, and ICC shows their wall radiation shield going through their wall, and it shows the protrusion. So there's an actual piece of chimney that's coming in through that our stovepipe connector or stovepipe adapter connects to. So this is a full length piece of chimney. You can see it pass through the wall and it goes right on out through to the outside T. Every manufacturer, what they do is they actually have a certain distance of how far they come. No one's the same. So ICC has a particular measurement, Selkirk has a particular measurement, Oliver McLeod, Simpson Durvent, all the different brands have different amounts of protrusion. Some can be 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches. But that's the bare minimums you have to meet. When you go less than that measurement, you are not code compliant, and that's an issue. So when we connect double wall stovepipe or single wall stovepipe to our chimney, the manufacturers will say that this connection here, if you were to measure, so for instance, single wall pipe has a clearance of 18 inches. From here to the wall, it's less than 18 inches. But the manufacturer says, we've tested this component, as long as you have that certain amount of protrusion, it's okay to connect a stovepipe to that as long as that clearance is met at this particular spot. All right, so number 4, the 2-10-3 rule. So our 2-10-3 rule is a rule that often gets mixed up. So we'll flash up a picture here in a bit and show you exactly what it is. But just to put it in retrospect, the chimney, so you've got to be 2 feet higher than anything within 10 feet of your chimney. And the 3 is minimum 3 feet through the roof line. So from the top side of your chimney when it penetrates your roof to the top of your chimney, not counting your rain cap, that's minimum 3 feet, no matter where you're to on your roof. So someone would make the argument with me that I've got my chimney, and about this distance, pretend it was actually this distance from the actual peak of the roof. They'd say, look, I've measured from here to here, I've got 24 inches, so I'm good, I meet that rule. But because the distance between here and here is not greater than, or at least 36 inches or 3 feet, they don't pass, or it's not code compliant. Manufacturers have tested, they know that distance, and I guess a lot of it's got to do with any sparks and embers or anything that come out during a chimney fire, that 3 feet is enough for heat to dissipate before it hits the roof. So they want a minimum 3 feet anywhere you go. So that is one part of that rule that gets messed up. The other part of that rule is how much chimney do I need when I'm so far away from the peak. So when you're greater than 10 feet away from the peak, you've got to be 2 feet taller than anything within 10 feet. So we use math for that. So whatever your pitch is of your roof, we simply calculate. So if it's say 10 on 12, we'd say 10 times 10 equals 100 inches, and add 24 inches because you got to be 2 feet above that point. So it'd be 124 inches, anything greater than 10 feet on a 10 on 12 pitch. And that changes based on the pitch of the roof when you're outside of 10 feet. Anything inside of 10 feet, so if you're closer, like if you're 7 feet away from the peak, you've got to be 2 feet over that peak if the peak is the closest 10 feet. So that one kind of gets a little bit confusing, and hopefully this picture can clarify. Number 3, floor protection measurements. So the floor protection measurements are something that is a little bit different, because when you look at the manuals, what's in the US is different from Canada, so you have to go by your manual. But I guess it's important to the location where people choose to take that measurement from. So I'll use Canada for an example, because Canada is 18 inches in front, 8 on the sides, and 8 on the back. So where do you take those measurements from? That's the thing. So a lot of people misconstrue this. So a lot of people will say, oh, it's front of the stove, this is the axle up here, we'll just measure from the front, they measure out, and they're good to go. That's actually not the case. So with all the stoves are a little bit different. So Pacific Energy, you see here, has a frame on here. Your measurement starts from the opening of the door. So it's actually the point at which sparks and embers can fly out. Some people would say, yes, that's the glass. We can use the glass for a measurement too, and that's pretty close. But if you're splitting hairs, always go by the door opening. Some stoves have a flat front. There's no blade here. We'll probably pan over here and show you the True North has a flat front on it. But that measurement would come from the actual front of the stove. And then you take it from the sides. If you look at here, Pacific Energy, you can see that the leg actually comes out farther than the side of the stove. I like to take it from the side of the stove here and get 8 inches on the side for Canada, and then 8 inches on the back. Some stoves, some manufacturers will have different listings, so that's, you go by manufacturer's installation instructions is the proper way to check that, and Canada and US can be different. Number 2, modifying manufacturers' brackets and components. So this one is a definite no-no. So I see it a lot, and for an example, this is a ICC wall support. This has so far off the wall. Clearances from this manufacturer says that we need to be 2 inches of clearance from our combustible materials to our side of our chimney. That's great. So a lot of people, what happens is when you get into a situation where there's an eave here, when they're bringing their chimney up side of their home, they do not want to cut through the eave. It's daunting. It looks complicated. We're worried about leaks, those kind of things. So what you'll see those guys do is they'll put angle iron, or they'll make up some kind of a bracket, an extension or something for this to bring this outside this eave. And what happens is when they do that, they are going against what the manufacturer tested that chimney for. And that makes it extremely hard because they could essentially make something that could hold up a tractor if they wanted to, but because it's not tested by the manufacturer, it is not allowed and is not code compliant. So it often fails our wet inspections when we're doing these inspections all the time. So a good rule of thumb, like if you look here, this manufacturer in particular has adjustments. So right now on this chimney, if I were to take a measurement, so this manufacturer has 3.5 inches of adjustment that this chimney can move off the wall. And if that's not enough, if you look in their manual, they have an extension kit that extends it further out than this stock bracket. So if you look at then when you're looking at the bracket itself or in their catalog, if they don't make a part that gets it outside the width of this eave, so if you look at this eave now in particular is 20.5 inches. I guarantee you they do not make one that will go outside this distance of this eave. That means you're going to have to cut through it. So if it doesn't exist, you can't do it. So that should be one of the things that people pick up on when you read a manual. And if you got to start modifying and making something to make your chimney installation work for you, it's probably not correct. So the number one rule I find with people doing their own wood stove installations is reading the stove label. Every label is different. Every single label on every single model of stove may be different. So this one in particular, this is a Drolet stove, and there's clearances here. So we see Canada, we see US, we've got our corner installation, we've got our flat wall installation. So there's all pertaining measurements to this install. This is the guide. This is where the main stuff comes from. We don't use the manuals. Yes, manuals are there to guide you through, but the manuals can be mistakes. These tags are certified. There is not supposed to be any mistakes in this, so whatever is on this is what you go by. So in this case here, we've got our listings for single wall clearances. We've got measurements here. You see how if we want to do a flat wall installation, and you have the A measurement here. This A measurement is the back of the stove to the wall. So the back of the stove to the wall, if you're using single wall pipe, is 15 inches. If we're using double wall in Canada, it's only a 6-inch clearance. So there's a difference here how this stove installs based on the type of pipe that gets used in this installation. Corners and things too, they give you 2 sets of measurements here. They're giving you from the side of the pipe to the wall, and that's the F measurement. And if you look down here to the F measurement is 18 inches minimum with a single wall installation. and when you go down to a double wall installation, it's 15 inches. So that's what it's showing you that this measurement would be when you measure from the side of that pipe to the wall. C measurement is the corner measurement. So that's from the back corner of the stove. Here it's 7.5 inches with single wall pipe, and it's double wall pipe, you're looking at 5 inches. This doesn't mean that the other thing too that people get tripped up in is because the stove told you we can be here and off this distance off the wall, that doesn't necessarily mean that that stove pipe is certified to go that distance. So we know that single wall pipe is 18 inches, double wall pipe is 6 inches for most manufacturers. So that's a great rule that a lot of people don't do. And there's more information on these tags. On these tags, it'll talk about floor protection, if there's what floor protection requirements are, if there's an R value to the floor protection that goes on there. The listings will be here for the manufacturer, the serial number, the testing company that did it, what standard it's tested to. So a lot of this requirements are on here that needs to be, that a wet inspector will need to know, or an insurance company. So these are great little, and if this is gone or absent from a stove, the stove is considered uncertified. So you got to protect that label, make sure that label is not painted over, not pulled off. So make sure that everything is kosher with that. This concludes the video from our new store and our new location. I'm super proud to show you guys our new location later on. But this being our first video, we're going to get this one out. I hope it brought you great value. This is the top 5 mistakes that we see when people are doing their own installations. So if there is value in this, please subscribe to our page, and we're more than happy to get back to you in the comments below.